beautiful day, literally in the neighborhood. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Would you be my neighbor? Hello, everybody. Lottie Dottie and everybody. Just give me a little bit more in my ear. No sound. That's because we're just coming on. Good afternoon. Listen, I got a lot I want to talk about today. I'm going to pick up a little later where we left off about tenant. May even do some landlord rights, tenant land. So you know, if you're a tenant, what your new, especially under New York State law, what your new, some of the new laws. I read those last week, so I won't go into detail. I might briefly brush over those. But then some other things that I found in doing some research that I really did not know that I want to share with people because information is power when it's the correct information. When it's the correct information. In a minute, we're going to talk about the fight seen across the world. Tell you my initial thoughts and then my thoughts when I did some research. And there was a third thing I think I want to talk about. I got to look and see what I told you I'll talk about. So we're going to do that. I want to open up today talking about, well, first of all, I just did a service, and one of our persons who would call in every week, who always calls in, will not be calling in today because unfortunately she is on her way to bury her sister. Just did the funeral services for the sister of Queen Eva Doyle. And I didn't even know all these years that the young lady that I buried today was even her sister. I'm sure she probably told me. Positive she probably told me 1,000 times. But so Sister Doyle, our hearts are going out to Sister Doyle right now in this her hour bereavement for her sister, Betty Jean Townsend, who we just said farewell to. What did I say I was going to talk about? I said let's talk about the hat, the chair, the swim, and the very unfortunate necessary fight. Was this an isolated event? Was my question. Yeah. So let's just before I go to the fight, you can get somebody on the line, let them know we're in the air. I was over by Parkside. They put up all of the Go Bike Buffalo is installing temporary changes at Parkside and Linden. New infrastructure will be there through November 1st. Now, let me say this for you. Anybody thinks I'm anti-bike lane. I'm not. I ride. And I appreciate bike lanes. I really, really do. They keep bikers safe. I've been saying this like since we've been doing bike lanes. Mm-hmm. And it's still, you got to teach people how to use bike lanes.
Absolutely.
If you do something as big of infrastructure as changing a major thoroughfare with no education to the public, and now something happens, it's like, well, you should have known.
Right.
First of all, when you take your driver's test, and most drivers, there were no bike lanes. The adult drivers.
Yeah.
I don't know if in the new book for permits and license, whether there's a training. I've said on the floor, I keep saying it. Now, one thing I'm glad about this Go Bike installation is it's temporary. Because we don't have biking in November, December, January, February,
absolutely not.
and March. April, sometime not until May. So a half a year, we don't have bikes.
I mean, there's the few enthusiasts.
The
very few
Matter
enthusiasts.
of fact, the head of the bike board or whatever, he said he rides all year.
All year.
That's cool. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
One of the council members told me they sat in their district for 3 hours and they have a bike go through. So again, let me say before somebody says Pridgeon's anti-bike, I am not. I am 100. I go to Toronto. I go to Canada. They have great bike lanes. Cordon off bike lanes. I love it. But we don't know how, when you make these huge changes, and I'll give you an example. Humboldt Parkways. You go to Ferry.
Yeah.
They just stuck in the bike lane. And nobody knows, can you go in the bike lane if there's no bike lane in
Right.
order to make your right turn
Yep.
down Ferry going toward Maine?
Who has the right of way? If I'm trying to make a right and there's a bike there, like you said, I haven't looked at a book in 24 years. So
I don't know if there's no bike. Can I go over in that lane?
Right.
Or will I get a ticket if I'm being followed? And so I think there has to be more. I know. And I've been calling for more education. Now, of course, Spectrum stuck our public access channel in Siberia, so nobody really watches it. I don't even know where it's at. I really
It's like
cannot find it.
it's literally like 1302 or something like that.
They did this city as such a disservice in moving, because people would watch public access.
Absolutely.
And at least, and if you can't do it on public access, ask 24 and the other channel to do a public service announcement.
Absolutely.
Do something where we're educating people on how to maneuver through the bike lanes. So I don't know.
No.
I like the bike lanes, but we got to know how to, because I don't want to get hit in the bike lane because somebody doesn't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can you go in the bike? Do you think you can go in the bike lane if there's no bikes coming and you got to make a right on Humboldt?
I actually don't think you can. I think I think that's why a lot of people are calling for protected bike lanes to make sure that you can't. But I'm sure I have.
The problem in Buffalo of a protected bike lane, number one, is snow removal.
Yes.
Because we don't have the equipment to massively clean out a bike lane if it had a curb there.
Right.
Because that's to protect it. They put a curb there, and you have to go over the curb to get in there.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, if you go to the northern half of Niagara Street, they have it in.
Ugh.
Yeah.
It's horrible. I'm not even going to say horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. I remember we went over to a church service over there. You ain't know where to park, didn't know where you could walk, didn't know where horrible. It ain't my district, but it's my city. Horrible.
They wanted it.
Now you got 6 months of winter, 7 months of winter, not the equipment to clean it out for those who bike all winter.
Yeah.
Because especially with the new type of bikes, electric bike and all that kind of stuff, pedal assist, whatever we call them, people might be riding all winter. I wonder, can Terry ride his, I ain't going to say the name, but, Terry, our guy.
Yeah.
Because he's got like a moped.
That is an interesting question.
So can you ride in a bike lane? Let's say, okay, let's forget Terry. Let's say with a electric bike, can you ride in the bike lane?
That is a very interesting question.
Yeah.
Well, probably not, because as we found out, it wasn't categorized as a bike. So I would assume.
Well, it depends. It depends. No. Depends on how fast it goes.
Right.
They're different categories. Yes. And whether it is assisted pedal, like you have to pedal it to go and then it goes, or whether you could just push a button, which makes it more like a moped and you could go. So there's all these classes. So I'll say this. In Toronto, now I don't know legally, but I'm just going to say in general,
right,
you could ride your electric bike in a bike lane. In general.
All bikes, like all motorized bikes, or like you said, is it the same?
Yeah, not like a little moped.
Right.
You can't do that. But if it is a bike,
okay, you
can. And like I said, I don't know the laws, but I know what I see.
Right.
And I see people whiz, because that's how the electric bike sound.
It does.
That's how the electric car sound. I love them all. I'm the electric guru.
Yeah, them electric cars, you really can't hear. I almost got hit by a Tesla in the parking lot.
Really?
Because I was coming out the elevator, I was walking to my spot.
But why you have to say Tesla? I mean,
because it was a
Tesla.
Tesla.
Why you just say electric car?
It was a Tesla.
All the electric cars are quiet. No, not Mr. Mark here. He's got to say Tesla.
Because it legit was a Tesla. Came around the corner and I ain't hear it, and I was yatta, and I was like, oh. Whew.
Well, that's when I was riding motorcycles. I still got a motorcycle license. some people cautioned me against buying like a BMW bike or a real quiet bike because they said, and now motorcycles are coming out electric, like everything is. I didn't know the Maid of the Mist is electric.
Yes, I've been on it
The
since.
Maid of the Mist.
Yeah, super quiet now.
Super quiet. You can hear all of the. But they're coming out with electric bikes, no gas. I don't want to be on an electric motorcycle. You got to give me some because I want you to hear me as I'm riding through.
Yeah, that's a little scary. I don't know if I could be on an electric motorcycle.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that can go 0 to 60 real quick. And that's real.
And if you don't know that bike is coming, I would want some type of synthesized sound on that bike where you can hear me coming when I'm. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I may get an electric motorcycle in the next couple of years, just because I want to ride again.
Right, that fits.
But give me electric, but I'm not going to get quiet electric. I want electric that makes some noise.
I did see the new Slingshot, though. Oof.
Is it? Oh. But it's gas powered?
I believe so.
Yeah, see, I ain't going far enough to need gas. Let me tell you how, and I'll get to the topics. Let me tell you how Darius rides. Now, my friend, and he's suffering right now from a health condition. Me and Pastor Winfield, I've really only rode with Pastor Winfield from over at Tri-Jews. That was like he would come get me or I would show up at his house or we ride the night and we just had a ball. But we ain't never go further than Niagara Falls, Canada.
Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with it.
We wasn't going up to Rochester and Syracuse and doing all that kind of stuff. So I can have an electric bike because I don't need to gas up.
Right.
But a full charge? Oh, Darius is good.
That's a round trip for you.
That's a round trip. And we always went down the same streets. And do people know how much a ticket is parking in the bike lane? I didn't know. $65.
$65 ticket. Whew.
Don't park. That's from May Bynum online. Don't park in the bike lane. All right, people giving out that information. I love this. Quentin Carr says in New York State, they cannot be faster than 25 miles an hour. Over that, you now require a license. All right, now that's from Quentin Carr on Facebook. Corrine, why don't bike riders have to be licensed? I don't know of any place where bike riders have to be licensed because then you have to license the kids.
Yeah.
You have to license everything. Corrina, to be like when I tried to license cats, it just didn't go well in Buffalo. Trust me, it did not go well. Go ahead.
Now, what she said earlier was she wished that bikers would obey traffic laws because they scare me to death when I drive.
Yeah.
And that's kind of true because they think they can, even motorcycles, they go through red lights. They just keep going. So I agree with that one.
What about the...
About obeying the traffic laws in general. Yeah,
definitely. Kamal says public access is channel 1302. Public access has been taken over by government, which it shouldn't be, because there's something called PEG access that the cable company has to provide. Not they have to provide it. PEG stands for public. There should be a channel, educational, and government access.
I think,
and we used to have all three. Kamal says,
I think we still do, but I think public is like 1301. So they all three of them are stacked together.
Absolutely,
but they're way up there.
Yeah, but the government should stay on the government channel.
Yeah, I believe so.
And let the public have access. I mean, Kamal was much more involved in public access. I was on the board at one time. And at the end of the day, government access, everything that was coming from the government went, and then there were producers, and you could check out cameras, professional cameras. They had training. So you had training, you had cameras. That's what Rashid White and I went into the jail with.
Well, I think that's supposed to be coming back. I know after the Tops incident, when we were all trying to figure out how can we do all these national interviews and we couldn't from the Apollo. I think the majority leader, Crystal Peoples-Stokes, found some state money to put into the Apollo to upgrade the internet and upgrade some of those studios so we can hopefully never in that instance, but if people need to do a national interview, they can actually go to the Apollo.
Well, I know at one point government was using one of the rooms exclusively, and I got that turned around so that the public could use that room, and it wasn't just the government that was using the best room in the house for
Right.
their interviews,
Right.
and the public who's paying for it out of our noses. And by the way, it's going up. Cable is going up
Sure is.
again.
Sure. It's for
Now,
nothing.
the green light folks are coming through, and the other technology is coming through. I'm not kidding you. I'm looking because right now, I think I'm paying $180 a month, 100, almost 200. Now, I'll say this: I do have, I don't know, maybe one premium channel that I don't even know which one it is. Because I don't really watch TV. You know, when Netflix came along, and then I'm going to get to this fight. We got to get to the fight. When Netflix came along and Prime,
Yeah.
I just, yeah. And unashamedly, I've been watching
Oh, God.
Tubi.
I haven't got back to it. I haven't got back to the show. I have not got back to the show.
Tubi is the worst. And I cannot stop watching it. And I don't mean watching like the old, they have stuff on there. I think they've got different like old time shows.
Yes.
I don't watch those.
No.
I watch the home produced.
Nah, I want the iPhone on the rig in the corner.
I watched a movie the other day that was produced on an iPhone. The colors was changing, the sound is up and down. And I don't know why I enjoy it so much. And I sit there and complain through the entire thing. I literally sit there and go, no, that camera shot is off. No, me and my daughters compared notes about
it's terrible.
Tubi.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's horrible.
So terrible.
It's horrible. So, and I watch it.
Hey,
Let me get to the point. I watch it.
hey, we all do. We all watch something dumb and just to make you laugh.
Mindless. I just want to watch
Mindless
something and
entertainment.
just be able to laugh.
Hold on, I
go
did
ahead.
check my Spectrum. So public access channels are 1301, 1302, and 1303.
But they're all called public access. Now,
Well, if you go to the guide, they're all
It'll
called
say-
public access.
right. Okay. Okay, we got the information out there for you. The hat goes up in the air,
Phew, it's a sign to everybody.
and when the hat goes up in the air, all heck breaks loose. You all know the story. I don't have to go into it, but I'm gonna give you a little play-by-play. There's a pontoon boat that is docked. Where is this? Alabama? Somewhere? Montgomery, Alabama. And there is a co-captain of a large ship, not ship, but tourist ship coming in. He asked the peoples to move their pontoon, and only, according to him, move it up a little bit.
Right.
I need some feet,
And the tourist bus is full of us.
full of people.
Full of us.
The people won't move it, and when the co-captain, who is African American, feels threatened, and I'm just going for a minute just talk about people, and then we're gonna come back to the, because I want to know: do you feel it's racial, or do you feel it was just people hot? Okay. So the man throws his hat in the air. Now, when I first was presented with the video, I initially didn't see the beginning,
I think a lot of people didn't.
right?
Yep.
So I had my opinion like, it ain't take all of that to move a boat. Y'all ain't have to jump off that boat like that and fight like that. That's what I said. Later, and really it wasn't to the next day that I saw the beginning, because I didn't keep looking at it, you know. And then when I saw the beginning, I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Guy jumps off, 16-year-old, I believe, I saw this morning. Jumps off and swims. He can swim. That
Yeah.
little boy can swim.
They said he's the first black guy to ever swim to a fight.
I have no comment. He jumps off that boat, swims. Because I'm thinking, why is he swimming?
Yeah.
Now, first of all, I couldn't have swam and then fought.
No.
Now, I think at one point he got punched and knocked down, but he was tired.
He was definitely tired. Because that wasn't a short distance.
Ricky Smiley, when he first saw, because he only saw a part, and he was talking about the boys swimming, and he says, he says, now he did all that swimming and came, ain't do nothing. And then he comes back on and says, I got to apologize, because that boy did. Here it is. So the boat eventually, I guess, docks.
Well, hold on. Well, so the part where I think the co-captain, I think where it got escalated
Yeah.
was he untied the people's boat. So it
Okay,
could,
so he can move him
so,
up a little
so
bit.
Yep, so it can be so he could on his own move their boat up. So that's why the other folks.
Now, recognizing he does not have to get on the boat to move the boat up.
No, he sure doesn't.
I'm a former boat owner. You untie it, it's glide.
Yep.
So you just take the ropes and move the boat up. Now he has to get this boat because, from what I understand, this boat has been sitting there over a half hour.
Yes.
Now. Or it took like 45 minutes to get it in.
And he asked the owner of the other boat multiple times
Yes.
to move up. So it wasn't just like a once and then I'm just annoyed.
And then there's a hit
Right.
that was heard all around the world. And then there's a fight. Now, boy swims in. Boat comes in. They pour off. Now, there's other people who come to help the guy.
Right. That were already on the dock. Boat comes in. There's a fight that ensues. Several people, matter of fact, one woman turned herself in today. Chairs are flying. Now, I'm going to say this. Somebody had a post up about a chair. I didn't get it. So I didn't get it for about 12 hours either.
Right? So I won't say who. A pastor had a post and it said.
He has a few of them up.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yes.
I really thought it was a Walmart post with whatever. It was like $13-something.
Yes.
My comment, I want to be clear. My comment was, something to the effect of wear these because we've lost about 100 chairs at True Bethel. And I really meant it.
They don't think we went to Alabama.
So I want to set the record straight. My comment on that pastor's post was sincere because we are looking for those chairs. Like we're looking to buy, literally since COVID, we have lost 100 chairs.
Oh, God.
So now we got to rent sometime when we have bigger events. So they're going to think I meant 100 people went to Alabama or 100 people check in with chairs now. And that's not what I meant. I'm not kidding everybody. I promise you. I didn't think about it. Let me tell you when I realized it. Way too late. Yesterday.
Wow.
Yesterday I'm sitting and I'm like, I bet you his post wasn't about cheap chairs at Walmart.
Nah, not at all. Not at all.
Do you feel when we come back from the break, we're getting ready to go to, I'm going to the break on time. When we come back from the break, is this racially motivated? Or is this people who are on the boat that saw, would this have happened if it was just all black people? The pontoon black, the co-captain black, the folks on board black. Is this considered racially motivated because the people on the pontoon boat were white? We're going over to the station. We're going to pay some bills. And when we come back, we're going to have a real conversation. Was the fight that was seen across the world racially motivated? We'll be back in 3, 2, 1.
When it comes to something as personal as your clothes, you need to deal with somebody you can trust. That's why so many people turn to Hobson's Dry Cleaning, conveniently located in the heart of the community at 874 East Delavan at the corner of Wyoming.
When you take your clothes to Hobson's, you can trust that they'll be ready on time.
You can trust that your whites will be white.
You can trust that you'll always get a fair price and service with a smile.
You can even trust that you won't have to get out of your car if you don't want to. Hobson's has a drive-through window for your convenience.
Trust is what it's all about at Hobson's Dry Cleaning.
Hobson's Dry Cleaning, your one-stop dry cleaners serving the community for over 30 years at 874 East Delavan at the corner of Wyoming. Call 891-8298. That's 891-8298.
Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home has 3 locations to serve you in Buffalo. 347 Peckham, 2258 Bailey Avenue, and Providence Memorial Chapel at 1275 Sycamore. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes offers traditional services, and they have services for all faiths. And at Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes, they have air-conditioned parlors and chapels. Financing is available, as is limousine service. At those difficult moments in your life, Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes is available where you are with counseling services. Call toll-free 877 877-885-7734. That's 877-885-7734. Or locally, 845-5545. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes. We are here to serve you, here to serve this present age. Call today, toll free, 877-885-7734. Or email info@brianklewisfuneralhome.com.
Yeah, we got some stuff going on across the states. We're going to talk about this boat. But I do want to say this. I'm going to pause and just give respect to this dancer, O'Shea Sibley, who was killed for voguing to Beyonce.
Wow.
I think that was horrible.
Wow.
Horrible. And here we have another incident. Was he killed because he was black? Was he killed because he was gay?
Either way, hate crime.
There you go. Amen.
Yeah.
So my heart condolences go out to O'Shea Sibley's family. And end of the day, he didn't deserve to die. All right, let's go back to the boat. Was it racially motivated? Well, let's take it legally. Do you think they'll be able to have a prosecution for a hate crime?
I think it would be hard to prove because I think you can make a case that the owner of the boat that was docked was responding to what the co-captain did. Now, was it excessive? Yes, because then you basically jumped him. So I think that case is hard to prove. Like you said, I think, like we said in the break, I think the only way to determine is if somebody has video of sound that actually hears some racial slurs being thrown, and that's what we don't know.
Now, allegedly, the woman whose son swam across says she heard them saying the N-word, and somebody talking about going to get a gun. Now, going to get a gun is not necessarily racially motivated.
Right.
I agree with you. I think it will be very difficult to charge someone unless somebody comes up with some more evidence.
Absolutely.
Of using racial slurs. So legally, I don't think so.
Right.
Personally, I think those folks, and I'm just going to say this because I don't paint. When you have an incident like this, I think we have to be careful not to paint all white people like, oh, white people.
Yep.
Nope, I don't do that because that's what has happened to us.
Right.
Is if a black person, African American, does something, it's like, oh, those African Americans, those or whatever they used to call, or Canadians, they call us Canadians
Here.
and everything else. I don't think that, I know that's not fair. Don't paint me because one person did something. So I want my remarks to be taken in the context of what happened in Montgomery.
Right.
Those folks whose pontoon was there, I do believe from their actions, felt entitled
Absolutely.
to be able to have their boat where it was and to refuse to move it. Now, I'm in African-American skin.
Yep.
I'm an African-American male. I don't want to get rid of it. I can't. Our way of thinking, if it was the opposite, we got to move it or they're going to call the cops and we're going to get arrested. Right or wrong?
Absolutely.
And so it makes me so angry at times that I got to double think when somebody requests something of me.
Right.
But the ones in Montgomery, felt they shouldn't have to move it. Okay, we don't know if that's racial. Do you think they would have done the same thing if it was a white co-captain?
No, I think they would have moved it. I personally believe they would have moved it. And we got to understand, like, Montgomery, Alabama, is the heart, one of the hearts of the segregation and racism in this country. So I think this was a symbol, I think, to those on the boat, like, this is, and I think somebody said, like, we fighting for our ancestors on this one because we never really had this opportunity to have a justified reason to fight. And I think it was just I forget what, and I've been trying to think of the quote all week, what Dr. King said about rebellion and because I just felt like it was just built up and they were like, this is it. Like, we're tired of dealing with it.
Okay. Let's bring up Martin and Malcolm. Let's pull Martin and Malcolm. Let's do the church thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's bring them to the pulpit.
Okay.
What does Martin say as the boat is going in and people are losing it? What does Martin say?
Ooh, he would say, don't react. Don't say a thing. Yeah.
Boat's coming in and Malcolm is there. What does Malcolm say?
We docking by any means
Right?
necessary.
I wonder, because and then I think about my own personality. You know, I don't like conflict. I want everybody to get along. When peace like a river attendeth my way,
Yep.
when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder in that moment when you, as an African American, do we react the same way? Let's flip it now. Boat full of white people. Black people in the pontoon. White man asking the black people move the pontoon. Now, first of all, the black people gonna move the pontoon because we going to jail.
Absolutely.
In Montgomery,
Absolutely.
we going to the same cell Dr. King was in.
Absolutely. Boat getting repossessed. Everything
right?
gone.
Is it different if white people had got off that boat that same way? Now, first of all, boy who swam across, I got it. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
He saw need. Whatever. The others that come off, the man the chair,
By the boat.
who hits a woman, would it be different?
I think now here's the scary part. I think if it was reversed, I think there would be race riots in Montgomery, Alabama right now. I think if this would have not been just a one-off. I
Got
think
you.
they would have fought for days because there would have been retaliation after retaliation.
Okay. I agree. We agree on almost everything today. I think it's a matter of power and perceived power.
Yeah, absolutely.
That you already have people who feel they're superior.
Mm-hmm.
And they have even politicians who feel they're superior.
Yeah.
And so when you add all that up and you add that you have some in law enforcement, government, all over that feel they're superior because of race.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm watching you be a man by himself.
Yes.
There is going to be reaction.
Yes.
I want to go to Montgomery. One thing about that boat is about to make some money.
Absolutely.
Montgomery is about to make some money
Absolutely.
because I already started researching how to take a boat ride on that boat before we go back in September.
No, you're right.
Want to be on that boat.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it is so interesting because part of this conversation I just had with one of my white best friends, and he sent me a reel on Instagram, and it was a young black girl, and it was basically talking about interracial dating.
Okay.
And she said, I wouldn't date white because I want to keep my bloodline pure.
Okay.
So the guy pauses, and I think the guy is of color too, and he just says, why do we think this is okay for her to say that? But if a white person says it, we would be up in arms. And I said, and I just told my friend, I said, no one said black people weren't racist either. And he just was like, you might be the only person of color I know that would say that. And I was just like, but it's true. Like, we have our own, now some of our racism comes from trauma, but
Yeah, it's a different reason of
Right.
racism. It's a different foundation.
absolutely.
It is a foundation of wanting equity.
That's
It
it.
is a foundation of wanting justice. Is it a foundation of trying to stay alive?
Absolutely.
Compared to a foundation of supremacy.
Yes.
And a foundation of privilege.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I agree.
So I think in the same sense, and like you said, I never really try to say all white people because I have very good white friends.
Yes.
But there is something to say about that European dominance of superiority that has been there from the beginning of time. Like they went into Africa,
Yes.
stole everything. They
Yes.
went into the Middle East, tried to steal everything. They've gone into Australia. They went everywhere they could and stole everything because they thought anything out of Europe, well, certain parts of Europe, were superior to everything.
Now, I'm going to take a little gander here. Mm-hmm. It's the same way now that United States is getting ready to send billions more to Ukraine.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm all down for Ukraine. Everybody knows that. I'm down for Ukraine.
Absolutely.
We'll put the flag in my window. But I'm also down for Haiti.
Absolutely.
And other places that are suffering that have mainly people of color
Yep.
that seem to get ignored.
Because they have nothing to offer this country of power. Well, or what they feel have nothing to offer us. Because we want Ukraine because it gives us access into certain resources
Absolutely.
in that
Absolutely.
area. So, like, everyone could stop being like, oh, this is a fight for democracy. No, it's not. Because if it was a fight for democracy, they would have been let them into NATO. They would have been did all of this other stuff. This is just a fight for access.
Well, I think that it's unfortunate what happened in Montgomery, and other people are saying they want to go too. Mentioned that Rump had just left the area. That I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, I don't know. Come on.
Rump. Kamal, let us know what you're talking about. Let me go to some of the comments. I'll because people are trying to talk. Veronica says she wants to get on the boat. Kamal says we have always defended each other. We were outnumbered and outgunned, definitely. Where was it was one. Oh, somebody says they think the chair was a bit much. What do you think?
Yes, I will say if there was something that probably took it over the top, it was the chair. But now, because he looked like an older gentleman, all I can go by is what my grandmother from Augusta, Georgia, told me. When you in a fight, you find whatever you can.
I was surprised about how old he was. Like, just in the video. I don't know how old he is. But I thought these were all young people.
Right.
Like, getting off this boat.
Nah, there were some OGs.
It was.
On the last parts of the clip.
That's what I saw.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I thought it was all young people and it was just this kind of fight and way over the top and all that kind of stuff. And then I see the guy with the golf hat on. Yep. I'm like, Fester go golfing. Fester go golf. Fester go golfing.
Yeah.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And Fester picked up that chair. I think that regardless that there's a limit.
Yes.
And you want to stop the threat. And that's my military training.
Yeah.
You know,
neutralize the threat.
You stop the threat in whatever way that you can. And then once you have stopped that threat, you stop. And that's how my brain is
Now
triggered.
you're right. Now,
that's how my brain
if
is
he
triggered.
was still under attack and there was another weapon,
Yes.
then justified.
Yes.
But if you
Like, you can't just pick up a table and somebody laying there, you throw the table on them and it, like, you know, this for grandmama and them.
Right.
That you can't do that. That's you're gonna go to jail. And that was one of my concerns before I saw the beginning of it.
right,
Was they're just gonna throw us in jail.
absolutely.
And
Now, so two things. Kamal said the rump is Trump. He said, so basically he's saying Trump just left Montgomery.
yeah, people are talking about that.
Yeah.
Did that empower
Might have.
some people there?
It might have. It definitely might have because he definitely puts gas on an a simmering fire in this country. But the second thing I was going to say is now it's gone. So, but I think in that instance, I don't know the trauma that OG went through.
Yeah, in
that
his
ma-
life.
That in his life that says, you know what? I'm going to get my one lick, and I'm ready to go to jail
Yeah.
for it.
And Kamal said something interesting that I heard somebody else say and then heard somebody argue against, because he says to be racist, you have to be able to impose control.
Yes.
We may be, but you can be in position where you have control.
Yep.
And then utilize race as a factor.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
that so you can be, because it is not as if all black people are not in any positions of control or any positions of influence. So I think that goes, and it could be argued both ways, but we definitely know about prejudice. But, I think that when you look at racism, you got to look at racism even in those areas we are in control. At times, do you think black people who have some type of control can be racist? And I say yes.
Yes,
Just
absolutely.
like I believe that we have less control per capita than any other race of people. But at the end of the day, I think we could have some of those same tendencies, but for different reasons. That was our point,
Right.
for different
There's
reasons.
different reasons. And I do think there's a difference between control and power. Or position in power, because you can hold positions but not have any power. You can have, like you said, perceived power, but there's still a bunch of people behind the scenes controlling everything.
Valerie Allen says that's the family member you don't call to a fight. I think she's talking about Uncle.
Yeah.
You don't call.
And Uncle Fester may have a record. We don't know. Like
Uncle ain't got no record. Well, probably back in the day.
That's what I'm saying. You don't know. Unc might have been out there marching. We have no idea.
You don't know.
We
And
have
that's,
no idea.
I think that where we have to be careful is about where we are in our mental space.
Yes.
And some place like Montgomery, they already been gaslighted up by somebody coming in and basically having this rhetoric. I really want to go to this boat, but we don't have no direct flights to Montgomery. That mean I got to fly to someplace in the south. Got to be in them hotels, and I don't feel like y'all ain't coming to get me
I was
quick.
gonna say I don't even know if it's safe to fly somewhere else and drive over. Like I don't know. I don't know what the safest route is.
I don't want to stay. I don't want to hang around Montgomery. But give me 2 days in Montgomery. One day to kind of be on the boat.
Yeah.
Next day to kind of go around, because I've never been to Montgomery.
I was getting ready to say I do want to go to Montgomery. I do want to visit Dr. King's church and stuff like that. So I do want to spend time. I don't know if I want to spend it.
I want to spend it now. Why they didn't removed all the chairs. Tim Newkirk says, "Yo, the revolution will not be televised." Yes, it will.
And this generation, yes, it will.
Veronica Ivy says you got to use the Green Book. Of course, you know what the Green Book is.
Yeah,
And they might still have a Green Book for all we know.
I'm sure they do.
But if anybody out there has any information on that boat, I'm doing a little minor research. Send me.
Is
let
it
me
a
know.
black-owned company that runs that boat?
I don't think so. It was a white captain. Don't mean anything.
Right.
The co-captain was the brother on the dock who pulls in the string. The rope was black, and black people use it. So I don't think it is. But I can tell you this: I'm sure already
I'm sure we on it now.
they selling out.
We
I'm
on it
sure.
now.
I'm sure. I don't know. Now this is not new for me. I've been to Forsyth County, Georgia, when no white person lived there, and marched with Coretta Scott King and others. I did stuff like that.
You went to Baltimore a few years ago.
Yeah, went to Baltimore. So I love being in the number.
Right.
I marched here. People didn't know it.
Yeah.
During the police protest,
You
I was
did.
right down the hurdle.
You sure
I
did.
just kept. I ain't have on no hat. I walked with everybody else. With people where they like to fish, I was right there. Mm-hmm. I was right there. I knew the atmosphere might not have
Right.
been the right place for elected official to be trying to talk, but my body and my presence was there. I stood up when the Can't Breathe. We had it here at church.
Sure did.
Shirts, I Can't Breathe.
Changed the whole service.
The whole service was on national news. So this ain't new to me. This is not new to me to want to go and to just be in a place that it is history making.
Yeah.
It is I don't want fights to be the history making, but I think we're at a place in America and I said this after Tops, and I said this where we can talk about racism.
Absolutely.
And we can talk about white supremacy. And if we, at this point in history or at the present time, do not talk about it and we do not face the black and white issue of it, we've missed the boat.
Absolutely.
So I just want to be clear to kind of sugarcoat over. I'm just bringing different options to the table to look at. But at the end of the day, we still know there's a racial divide. Florida right now, the state of Florida, the governor of Florida just suspended the black female attorney general, what would be equivalent to our attorney general, because the police or the sheriff's union, something not union, but benevolent association, complained that she was soft on crime.
Wow.
So he suspended her. Now he appoints a black judge to replace this woman, however temporarily, because of course she's going to court,
right?
And she's running for re-election. They had a rally for her yesterday. Had I known,
you'd have been there.
I'm not kidding you. I would have went to be at that rally.
Well, just like the two legislators in Tennessee that got barred or suspended or whatever the term was, and they won their re-election, which we all thought. Like, the people still want who you want representing you. I don't care who thinks they're in power and can control that.
Yes.
And like, if they think that this is going to keep her out of office, it's just another sad mistake and another clown show.
I hope Florida rises up.
Yeah.
Kamal reminded me, went to Haiti.
Yeah, you did.
Went to Haiti, took $18,000 to Haiti, to one little village. At the end of the day, being a part, I always talk about the ministry of presence. You ain't got to be the one up there on the stage, but we have a right to protest peacefully, and to show up. And I think that this is one of those occasions where we did show up.
Right.
I agree with Kamal. Like, we've always had to kind of fight together because we have so much to fight. And I want to say this. I do not in any way advocate violence in any way. I always say, and I've raised my children this way, not that they always listen to me, but if you can avoid violence, avoid it.
Absolutely.
At all costs, especially for African Americans, because we are judged the hardest.
Absolutely.
And so we end up with having to pay attorneys with money we don't have and all kinds of stuff. And so if you can avoid it, avoid it. But if it just, I understand every person who was on that dock who went down there to help that man, period, whether it was black or white. But I definitely understand it when you see a lone black man being
getting
beat.
Jumped. Yep.
I understand.
I was thinking ready to say, like, just mentally, as soon as you said that, I'm like, what would have been different if there was more black people around Rodney King? Like, what would have been more different for all of these police shootings, unarmed police shootings, and if there was more black people around?
Well, Rodney King time, I think what would have been a difference, more black people would have got beat and shot.
Right.
Because there was that feeling that police should be able to do whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
And you don't question police. Even today, there are times that police are still saying to people, you can't record me or da-da-da-da. And it's proven that you can.
Yeah. Even with cameras on you.
Even with cameras. Now, I'll say this. And I know in every police department, we've got bad apples, including in Buffalo. But the temperature has changed hugely in Buffalo.
Yeah.
So I got to give, people don't like for you to give credit to police like, oh, nope. I feel it. I feel that especially a lot of the changes that were made from the council, from the mayor, from top people, and then you have leadership that look like us that came up the ranks.
Right.
That just ain't dealing with that, whether people know it or not. A lot of things that have occurred in Buffalo police lately never made the news because it got taken care of.
Right.
It got taken care of. So I got to give a big shout out to them.
And like you said, a lot of our chiefs now, at least I know probably in B district, C district, I know those two for sure. Those literally, like you said, us that came up through the ranks. So they're used to being in the community already.
And they're known in the community.
Chief Thelma Jones at C district requested to come to Fillmore and Ferry.
Yep.
So these are people who want to be here to make that change.
That's it, folks. So We got to give that credit where credit's due. Hobson's the doctor of dry cleaning. 874 East Delavan. That's right, Hobson's. You heard the commercial at the 12:30 hour. Take your stuff over there. I do almost every week.
Every week.
They getting my dough. I think I'm paying for the show. 874. I'm paying for my own daggone show.
I had so many clothes the other week. I thought I did pay for our own episode too. I said, good night.
So I'm going to say, but if you threw your hat up in the air, all black people will come, so don't throw that hat up, Bishop. I ain't throwing no hat up.
Nah.
Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home, 3 locations to serve you. You know them, Peckham, Bailey, and Sycamore in your hour of need. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home. He was here just the other day, and I'm telling you, he takes the time with these families. I believe they took care of Kaiser Pointer. Our hearts go out to Kaiser Pointer and his wife and the loss of their son. Listen, I got to throw it back over to the station. Until next week, power to the people.